Hey, hello there. Welcome to Real Talk for Coaches. I'm your host, Dr. Dawn Reid, certified professional coach. And this is where, as coaches, we help you thrive personally and professionally. Today, we will decode the mysteries of human behavior and communication through the DISC assessment. And I'm going to deep dive how we can use DISC as an assessment for communication, whether it's business, love, and everything in between. And you know, I am always excited to have my fabulous co-host, Coach Will. And you know, you guys know that I have been pushing him to get his certification, but he keeps fighting me on it. But that's okay, because I'm gonna fight back because I can do that. Anyhow, how are you, sir?
Yeah. I am doing well. I'm doing well, Dr. Reid. Again, as I say, it's another day in paradise,
I know, right? What part of paradise are you in?
So mentally, I'm on an island in Jamaica with a, umbrella drink, but
I feel that.
physically I'm
You just
here in
here.
New Jersey in 30-degree weather somewhere,
I
But,
feel that.
hey, gotta work with it.
Got work with it. You gotta work with it. So you know what? I feel that. I would really rather be on somebody's beach
Yes.
with a nice cold drink in my hand.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
I love it. So this segment, we're going to deep dive into DISC. Now, as you know, I am a certified DISC coach and assessor, as well as facilitator. And basically what that means is that I can do coaching around DISC based upon the assessment. And you took the assessment, so you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go into organizations and help them integrate the DISC information into their teams, their leadership, their culture, and help them really understand how to communicate more effectively based upon their respective DISC personalities. So, I don't know if you remember your DISC style. Oh,
I'm not gonna lie, I do not.
You knew he was doing this.
Yeah,
You knew he was doing this. You had ample time. Okay, I'm gonna fuss with you outside of this. I'm gonna yell at you later. So my DISC style, I'm actually an ambivert. If you were to look at the Myers-Briggs assessment, so I'm an IC. If I remember from yours, you're a C. You're a C. So from my perspective of the personality, I have a lot of energy, duh. And I'm all about the people. I'm all about the people. I'm very active. I'm very energetic. So that's the I part of me. Equally so, I'm a C. That's the one that's more, which you are, which is more analytical.
I think I was an SC.
You are S. Oh, yes.
I think I was.
Yes. Yes. Oh, see, you remember.
I remember a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
Well, it's enough. Okay.
Poquito.
Little poquito.
Yes.
So, yeah. So with the C part of you, it's definitely more of the, and we'll talk about all the DISC styles, but the C, analytical, data-driven, laid back, more task-oriented, less people-oriented, right? And so we have that in common. Yes. And with the S, I got a little bit of S in me. Just a little. I don't have no D, but I have a little bit of S.
Yeah, I didn't have any D either.
You didn't have any D?
No. Pause on that.
That's what she said. I know I'm supposed to be professional. Okay, let me get serious. I know, I'm sorry. That's what she said. No, never mind. We're going to talk about each of the DISC styles, but just to give people an understanding of your communication style. According to DISC, it kind of gives you this, not kind of, but it gives you your strengths, like what makes you thrive in certain environments. And it also tells you where your areas of development or adjustment, because the way the assessment is, it tells you what is kind of like, I don't want to say static, but what's pretty fixed, for lack of a better word. And it tells you where you adjust. So for me, I really, every time I say this, I laugh. I have no D, but there are situations where if there isn't a D personality, what happens is my I kind of pretends to be a D. And you'll see that particular personality.
Bleeds over.
Right.
Bleeds over, right.
Right. But it's not natural. And so what DISC says is go, hey, these are some natural traits. This is who you are automatically, right?
Right.
However, when you're in a certain situation, you will adjust yourself, but it's uncomfortable and
Mm-hmm.
it takes a
Mm-hmm.
lot of energy from you. So that's kind of where, like, just to give people a little bit about understanding what DISC is. But the beauty is that with DISC, you can understand your team better. You can understand your leadership style better. And I actually did DISC with my family. And it does help with understanding how your family communicates. And because I used my family as a guinea pig, we listen and we don't judge. Yeah, I use them as a guinea pig. I have began to use DISC in anytime I do family coaching or couples coaching so
Okay.
that people can understand how they communicate. So I'm going to shut up because I know I said a lot. We're going to use DISC today to kind of explore behaviors, personality, and all that good stuff. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, sir?
Well, first, I don't know if we address exactly what this stands for, and it
Oh,
stands for dominance, influence, steadiness, and consciousness.
yes.
Just 4 modules, and you could be a combination.
Yep.
You could be one. You could be a combination. I'm not sure if you could be a combination of all 4.
No, it's usually
It's usually
3.
3. Okay.
Yeah, you could be a combination of 3.
I took the test, and when I got my results, it did fit into how I am at work.
Yep.
I didn't like it, but it was certain things about it I did not like. But it was like you have to admit that. I was like, okay, yeah, well, this is how I am.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I will say that when you take in the test,
Mm-hmm.
answer honestly.
You have to.
I think people, just like with other tests, and we'll get into that later, I
Mhm.
think people have a tendency, if they don't get the result they want,
Yes.
I'm going to take this over
Yes.
and try to answer differently to try to
Yes.
get a different result.
Yep.
If you just take it and just answer honestly the first time, because once you start trying to change your answers, you're not being true to
You're not being
yourself.
true. Exactly.
You know, I just think that is a reaction that people will try. Like, oh, I don't like the way this turned out,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna try to do it over.
Mhm.
When how it turned out is how it turned out based off your answers.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that because one of the things I do when I do the discovery call and the consultation session is go, look, one, don't overthink it. Don't try
Mhm.
to beat the test because then you're not going to get a good reading from the
Right.
assessment. The second thing I explain to people, and if you recall from the test, there's two columns. One is your, and again, I don't like using this word more. Fixed because I don't like anyway. I don't like saying fixed, but your fixed personality and behavior piece that doesn't necessarily change. It is who you are. But if you remember that other column, it's the adjusted column.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you did it based upon work. Anytime I'm doing the assessment, I always tell people focus on one area. So if we're doing leadership coaching, focus on work, leadership, and how you work with your team. If I'm doing it with a couple, focus on your family life. Focus on how you guys engage
Right.
as a couple, right? And you're right, because at the end of the day, if you're not clear how you adjust, that's going to always change because every situation is different. How you behave, like if you were engaging with me when you were taking the assessment, it's going to reflect how you
Differently.
had to adjust to
Mhm.
me. But if you were taking it at work and you were working with your peers, it's going to have a different adjustment. But your fixed column from the assessment is always going to be the same. That shouldn't change. So I said all that to highlight what you just talked about is that this is why it says in the briefing, don't overthink it. Just
Yeah.
take the test. And to your point, I have had clients who'll go, I don't think that's me. And so when we do the debriefing after the assessment, and I think I did it with you as well, I always mention there are some things that might be part of you, but because of conditioning and learned behavior, you have organically learned to adjust. And the
Right.
example I give to people is if you learned how to tie your shoe using the bunny rabbit method,
Mhm.
you're always going to use the bunny rabbit method, right?
Right.
If all of a sudden you learn a different way, then you still learned the bunny rabbit. But if you learned a different way and that becomes more dominant for you, you're always going to use that new way.
I
So
didn't learn the bunny rabbit method. I just wanted to throw that in there. So, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Yes.
I don't like you. Okay, I didn't learn the bunny rabbit method. God dog it.
Okay. I'm sorry, but no. Go ahead. Continue.
So, but to your point, yes. So you are 100% right. Take the test, and you can't get mad at the results. The idea is to learn from it, and that's the purpose of it.
It's not a pass or fail.
No.
Type of test.
Good point. Yeah.
I think that's what people need to realize. It's something that you use to show, and it doesn't necessarily show. It can show strength, and I hate to use the term weakness, but it just goes with strength.
Yeah.
But because I don't want people to take the weakness as a
bad thing.
As a bad thing.
Yes.
It can show you where you could develop in certain things. So you may be strong at something. You'd be like, oh, I thought I was better in this. And you'd be like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
You know, so it may be able to, be able to develop something,
Sure.
in another realm. Like, say if you're a person that, if you're at the job, like I know it's been many times I've been asked to, do you want to be in management? Do you want to be in management? And I don't want to manage people.
Mm-hmm.
I manage a process.
Right.
I don't necessarily want to manage people. But one of the things when I took the test, it actually kind of showed like, and I could have been reading it, but it's like, it kind of said I didn't have the personality for a manager,
And that's okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, so it
aligns.
Yeah, it aligns with me. So if they want to say, hey, you want to be a manager? No.
Nope.
Look at my disc. Look at my disc. I would not. No.
Not my thing.
Yes.
Not my monkey, not my circus. But that's why I feel like DISC is so helpful, because I've had so many clients that go, my manager wants me to lead teams, but I don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay, so as a leader, if you understand this about the people on your team, then okay, that's not where they want to go. So why push them?
Right.
That's not where they excel. Let's keep people where they excel, because you're going to get more productivity. You're going to have more happier people. And that's what DISC helps you do. So I do want to kind of go back, because yes, we keep talking about it, but people may not know what it is. And you did touch on dominance and influence, steadfastness, and conscientiousness.
Right.
So that's kind of like the high level, what each one of those letters mean. On point, because I totally got into it and wasn't even thinking about that part. So, and I should have, I know, but I'm just so geeky with it. So what really does it mean? So when you talk about D, most managers and leaders are Ds.
Right.
Look, I feel like I'm a high school kid every time I say this, I swear. Anywho, so dominance. With the dominance personality, take charge, right? Think of it that way. They get it going. If you ever had a leader who's like, fast, quick, give it to me. They're very task-oriented. And they're kind of like a lot of energy. Right? Then you have me, which is an influencer. We are the people, right? We love people. We want to know about the team. How is it going to impact the team? And as I look at my career, I am always thinking, how is this going to impact somebody else? How is this going to impact the process? Right? We're also the motivators, and I'm big on let's go, let's do it. Right? So lots of energy. Then you have your S. And it's funny, I just hired a VA. She just took the DISC assessment too. And I knew it when I interviewed her. I'm like, I knew it. She is a hard S. She is so, every time I ask her a question, well, let me think about it. Let me get back to you later, right?
Yeah.
Very much so. And I'm like, let's go, rah, rah. And so I notice I have to adjust to her because she's like, yeah. So
She's very laid back. Yes.
very.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've definitely got to put on my C hat when I'm working with an S. And then with C's, very conscientious, very methodical, analytical, data-driven.
Right.
Right. And so your C's are accuracy. What is accurate?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you guys are striving for. So that kind of gives you an idea of those particular personalities. But then there are the areas of opportunity. Like with a D, they can be considered aggressive, not assertive. I'm saying the right word. Ds can be very aggressive.
Right.
Right. And they can also be the type that I don't have time. Like, let's keep it moving. Give me the high level, don't want the details. And that's hard for me as an I, because that's where my area of development is. I want to give you all the details.
Right.
I want to tell you everything. And when I'm working with a D, I always have to adjust. I always have to adjust and kind of remember, make it quick, be succinct, and keep it moving. But that is so hard for me as an I. My other area is people can't always match my energy. You know what you say? I'm too much. I do too much.
So let me ask you,
Yes.
can people go from being one to another?
No. Unless it's in your, I'm sorry, let me let you finish your question.
Is it something that can't be taught, or is it something that can't be, because you have, to make a comparison, like people who are scared of public speaking, they have, I forgot the name of those classes they have that teach you how to speak in front of, people.
Right.
And like you said, most of these are in management, something like that, or a supervisory position, or something of that nature. So is there not something that can be, is that not something that can be taught?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And so remember with DISC, you have your fixed state, your natural, we're going to call it natural, your natural state of being, what takes you least effort in how you communicate. Right? I naturally have a lot of energy. You're naturally very laid back and more task oriented.
Right.
Comes don't even think about it, right? But using that example again, if I had an S person, S people really don't like a lot of public attention, and they tend not to like to public speak. But if you're in a career where you have to adjust. So remember the adjustment part. You can be taught to adjust. The thing with understand that part of your personality, an area of development is, it's going to take a lot of effort, energy, and you might be exhausted. Like, again, using my DISC style of I'm exhausted after coaching, after like 3, 4, 5 sessions, and I'm always with this energy, which is natural. By the end of the night, I am in my C zone. I am so exhausted. And it wasn't that I adjusted, it's just that I exerted a lot of energy.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So you can be taught to exert and adjust, and that's where coaching comes in. That's where I come in, is helping leaders, helping coaches, helping individuals adjust outside of their comfort zone of their DISC style. So if you know that you're working with a C and you're not a C, or you don't have that adjustment C within you, then you have to develop it. You have to learn it. And one of the things, and I wanted to just say this quickly as we begin to wrap up, it's not that you don't have, now I've been saying like I don't have D in me, right? It's not that I don't have D. It's more like if you think
doesn't come natural.
Right. It doesn't come natural, and it's like an iceberg.
Right.
So my D is under the water, way, way, way deep under the water, right? Whereas the I is at the top of the iceberg. And so it's going to take a lot for me to develop the D personality if I had to go in and really lead and take charge and be succinct and all that good stuff.
Right.
So to answer your question, you absolutely can learn.
It's more of adaptive for you. Like you can, if you need to bring out that D side in your personality, you can, but it's not your natural.
No.
It's not your natural
not at all.
Flow of things.
Not at all.
Okay, let me ask one more question before we get into the next thing. So at what point in your life do you believe that this is developed? Is it something that is in your childhood, or is it like, okay, because people take different paths.
Mhm.
Like we're gonna, you start off here, then the high school you go here, then by the time you get to college, if you go to college, you go there, and then when you get into the work world, you're like, oh, this. So all those I would think would play a role in developing your disc model through different experiences, possibly.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, okay, my coach had just switched on. Sorry. No, sorry.
Mhm.
Sorry, but not sorry. If I'm hearing you correctly, you're asking how much of the disc personality or behaviors are learned.
Yes. Yeah.
Like with all assessments. And here's my psychology hat now. All behaviors are learned behaviors.
Mhm.
We are, however, dispositioned for certain temperaments and personalities as well. So everybody starts off as a clean slate with their personality, right? But there are certain features, it's probably just who you are. You're born that way. But as we experience life, work with different people, we have rewards and punishments. We see how things in life, oh, if I behave this way, I get this. If I don't get it. So you begin to learn how to navigate. And it does become more natural because it becomes part of your everyday behavior based upon rewards, punishments, conditioning, priming, yada, yada.
Okay. 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 So that could also play a role in like your adult relationships.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
how would you use the disc model in like your relationship as far as like you're married? So
Yep.
how would you use it in your marriage, your relationship with your husband,
Yep.
and you probably use it as far as developing with your whole family, your
I
kids and
do.
everything.
Like I said earlier, I absolutely use my family as guinea pigs, right? Oh, I keep bumping the table. I'm sorry. So I absolutely use them as guinea pigs. And what it taught us, like my youngest son, he's a D. Okay, gonna keep my jokes to myself. I'm gonna say in more ways than one. I'm sorry, baby. You know I love you. Mommy loves you. Um, and again, I do notice where we butt heads, right? Is that
Hmm.
he is very quick, quick, quick. And I'm like, I need you to hold space for me. And so what we were able to do with the DISC assessment is I learned how to adjust to his communication style, and he learned how to adjust to my communication style. And the same thing with my husband. Now, with my middle son, which is really interesting, we are both similar in the C and S
Okay.
space. We didn't have a lot of adjustment to do. And I noticed with he and I, it's not that hard. With my husband, he's a strong C.
Okay.
And I definitely have more energy than he does. And so the way I used it from a family dynamic is I looked at it more from the perspective of how do I need to adjust in order to communicate what my husband needs in order for us to engage, make decisions together, for it to be
Right.
harmonious, right? And it again is easier for me to adjust because of the IC for me, but he is a strong C,
Hmm.
no I.
Okay.
Right? Or the eye is under the surface. And so I have to remember to tone it down with my energy because it could be overwhelming for him.
Okay.
Now, when you don't have that assessment, what happens is you don't know. All you know is why you don't have any energy, why you're not responding to what, and it becomes arguments. But when you have this information, is oh, that's how you respond. Now that I know it's not personal, let me adjust because that's how you respond. So that's the way it could work for real time. And this is how we've used it in our family.
So I know when you talk about relationships, especially romantic relationships,
Yep.
most people go to love languages.
Yes.
So you're in just listening to you, you use the DISC model as far as your relationship with your husband. So how does the love languages differ from the DISC model, or does it differ that much, or is it just using different terminologies for a lot of the same things?
From my experience with this, it's the love languages they're complementary, and I like how you framed it. It's the same thing in a sense, but using different terminology. And love languages are more based on the psychological premise of attachment style. And the way they look at it is, let's say, my love language is like words of affirmation. I'm a big word person. Tell me you love me all day long, right? But you gotta back it up with some action. I'm just saying. But like, I like words.
Right.
And usually they say from a psychological perspective, your love language hinges from what you didn't get as a child. And so I can tell you, as a child, my family's very like closed-lipped. It was very like, they didn't use a lot of words.
Right.
Right. And so for me, I like words. So that just gives you an example. With the disc personality, it's more about how you communicate. And it's more how you adjust to other people. With the love languages, from my perspective of it, it's more how your attachment style is, how you behave in a situation. And I don't feel like it adjusts so much like the disc styles do. I think
Okay.
with love languages, it's more like, hey, Will, I need words of affirmation.
Right.
I need you to give me more words.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? With disc, it's more, oh, Will's a hard C. Let me be more analytical to him. I feel like with disc, it teaches you more about how to deal with other people, and it helps you understand yourself to
Okay.
make the adjustments. And again, if you want to know more about DISC, please go to my website, readready.com, or drdawnreed.com. We can definitely talk more about DISC styles, the assessment, how to put it into your corporation, as well as how to use it in your everyday relationships, personal or professional lives. Thank you so much for joining us. This was so much fun. I told you I was going to geek out. But anyway, thank you guys.
Yes, you are geeking out.
I don't like it. I'm kicking him out. I love you. Thank you.